Welcome to Wining and Dining with Jim White. It's the program that introduces you to the people behind the flavors that you love. And I tell you, one of the greatest people I know in terms of food and wine and philanthropy is Patrick Esquerre, founder of La Madeleine, who fits all of that. Bon vivant and author even. Patrick, welcome and thank you for joining us.
Bonjour, and thank you for inviting me, to be in your show. By the way, I have a very special affection for you.
Yes.
Your wife, your darling wife, Vicky, because you are real people. Okay, so this is what I like with you. Okay, and nothing is everything is real. Everything is it starts from the love that you generate around you, which is absolutely superb. Okay, I love it.
Patrick, thank you.
Not only love for food, it's love for everybody else. Okay, which is great. Because I'm going to talk about love.
Okay, well, good. Well, where do you want to start? By the way, first thing I want to do is thank you for being with us throughout the month, being with all of our guests as our guest gourmet, and I couldn't think of anyone better to have than that. All of our guests have been so excited to meet you, and they love La Madeleine, your wonderful creation of so many years ago that, she has just matured into a delightful and beautiful woman thanks to your tender, loving care. I know for a number of years you stepped away from your wonderful creation, but then they got you back as they saw they saw that they needed you to bring her heart and soul back. Talk a little bit about that and what's new on the La Madeleine landscape and projects that you're working on with them.
Okay, so the good news is La Madeleine, was created not by me, because I didn't know anything about this. Okay, the only thing I knew is about my palate. Was so well educated by what I call all my women, and all my women were, my mother, my grandmother, my sister, whoever they are, and so on. So that was absolutely created my palate to a beautiful way. Now, then when I came here, knowing nothing about the food, so I decided that the person that will be the best to help me on this will be my women, my Dallas women, Dallas-Fort Worth women, because I decided one thing: no architect, no designer. My future women would be the one going to design La Madeleine. So they designed La Madeleine. I was just listening, adapting, and trying to surprise them, to do the best thing I could. Okay, so this is how La Madeleine was born and raised. And then the food part of it was a big challenge for me. Of course, I had the bakers, wonderful pastry chef. But then for the food, I had nobody. So I started to panic when my women, excuse me when I say my women in quotes, okay, my women told me, Patrick, we need a salad, we need a soup, we need something else. So when you panic, what do? I called Mammy, okay? So I called my mother. She came over. She's a great cook. She published already at that time 3 cookbooks. And then she came, and for 2 or 3 months, she's the one who created the food. The Caesar salad, the tomato basil soup was not there yet. It came a little later. But the Caesar salad and the easy chocolate cake, the whatever, and so on. So she is the one who started that. And it worked superb. Homemade food from scratch, made fresh every day. That's what it was, okay?
And a wonderful legacy now over 35 years. And you have written a book, and we can show you the book, to celebrate that. And it comes with wonderful stories, wonderful illustrations, wonderful life lessons, and some great recipes, too.
Yes, because everything at La Madeleine was based on one thing: love. Love for whatever we do. Love for people. Love for our guests. Love for our associates, the people that are part of the La Madeleine family, to create this superb La Madeleine family. Because we are not a corporation. We are not a business. We are not all that. We are just a big family where, in fact, the family is part, our guests are part of the family. This is what we do. And they own the place. It is their place because they are the one who created La Madeleine. So that's the beauty of it, because they feel at home. And the more they feel at home, the more they're happy.
So the name of the book is called La Madeleine Love Story, Recipe for Success. Let's show the book. We've got a shot of the book so that we can Hello, guys. Thank you. Recipe for Success. I have to start. Can you just stay on there while I talk? I want them to see the book cover. Listen, adapt, and surprise. And there you are dancing, Patrick.
Yes, okay, but that's
Yet,
not the point.
yet another skill I didn't know.
So the listen, adapt, surprise is a very big, in fact, way of creating happiness around you. If you listening is the number one act of love. Okay, so if you listen to people, you are going to learn so much, and then you are going to learn what people love, don't like, whatever, and so on. Then you adapt to whoever you want to seduce, to attract to you, and not ask the people, to adapt to you. So you adapt to them, and then you go one step further, because when you know what they like, they don't like, and so on, you try to go beyond that and to go to I didn't know it was possible. I didn't know it was so good. I didn't know it was all this. So then this is what my job was to do, okay, to create this surprise behind, what people were expecting. And this is what we continue to do at La Madeleine. So that I'm very proud of that. And when you talk about the DNA, the roots of La Madeleine and so on, this is what it is. This is the love behind everything we do. Like Susan Dedran says, which is in fact the one taking care of the food at La Madeleine. She's wonderful. She has been with us for something like 29 years or 30 years now. She said, okay, let's put love in the omelette. Okay, this is what it is. So we put love in everything we do.
And it's just beautifully done. Well, take us back to the beginning. I'm going to, after we talk about how you got La Madeleine founded, I want to go back even farther, back into your French roots. But there's a wonderful story about sort of a patron saint for you that helped you very much get La Madeleine started, and I believe you referred to him as Mr. Surprise in your book.
Mr. Surprise, thank you for bringing that.
Yeah.
Because Mr. Surprise, I'm not going to say his name, but I'm going to tell you the story. So
Okay.
Here I am. I meet a gentleman who is already 75 years old, maybe, and very busy and very fresh. That is what he was saying all the time. And then here he is. I don't know who he is. I don't know what his business is. I don't know anything about him. And then he's one of the first person that I meet. And then I ask him, he asked me, Patrick, what are you doing here? So I said, I'm here to build a French bakery. Oh, a French bakery? An authentic French country bakery near SMU? Going to be a winner. I said, sir, can you repeat that? And on a napkin, I wrote down, authentic French bakery near SMU. Then it became my business plan, and it's still the business plan of La Madeleine, okay? And then the next day, I take a car, rent a car. I find the location on Mockingbird, which was completely empty at that time. And then I go to the agent, try to negotiate. He asked me, for me, stupid questions like, what kind of collateral do you have? What kind of assets do you have? What kind of whatever? I had to take my dictionary to find out, what it means and so on. And then I said, all right, I don't have anything in there. So I said, all right, this is the deal. So the deal was $21 a square foot. Was 3 years lease, I was investing $500,000. Then it was no space improvement for the landlord. And the last one was a 1 year down payment on the rent. So I said, I cannot afford that.
My goodness.
This is a shame because Mr. Surprise, and I mentioned his name at that time, said, but by the way, said, okay, this is the thing what he told me. And he said, who? So I said, Mr. Surprise. So then I pick up the phone. I call Mr. Surprise. I've seen only once. I didn't know who he was. And then I said, told him the story. And then he said, okay, I'd like to talk to the agent. And it was very funny because I could see it 4 times. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And it took maybe something like 16 seconds, no more. All right. Then the agent said, all right, now it's going to be a different deal. It became $14 a square foot instead of 21. It became 9 year lease instead of 3. It became $70,000 of cash, and then it became 1 month down payment for the rent. So I said, so by the way, who is Mr. Surprise? It was Mr. Stanley Marcus.
Stanley Marcus.
Who he was. I didn't know what Neiman Marcus was from another planet, coming from another planet, And then this gentleman, I call him the can opener because he opened the can, just to be able to enjoy, what going to do later on with La Madeleine. This is great. Great story. And then he became my American father. And then there's a lot of stories in the book about him because he was such a wonderful gentleman and such a fun gentleman too.
Indeed, and I know that you and Mr. Marcus were great friends, and as you mentioned, he was your mentor and surrogate father. during that time, and we're so grateful to him, not only for the fact that he created Neiman Marcus, but for the fact that he helped you get La Madeleine established.
And another person was also very instrumental, very important. I think was Julia Child.
Lovely
Child
Julia.
Because I was on PBS all the time to raise money for the plate drives, and then I had the wonderful opportunity to meet with her several times in Dallas, in Washington D.C., and several places. And then she was a wonderful lady, and she always shared with me wonderful ideas. And we had the same ideas about life. And there's some stories about Julia Child in the book, too, which is very nice.
It's wonderful. It is a fascinating book. It's called La Madeleine Love Story, Patrick Esquerre's Recipe for Success. Patrick, you go back and tell some very personal stories about your growing up in a very privileged lifestyle early on and being at school, and then everything changed for you.
Yes, that was a great thing in my life. Not for my parents, but for me it was great. Because I was born and raised in a beautiful chateau on a farm, in a chateau country. It was paradise. We didn't know it was so beautiful. The food was absolutely incredible. I was raised with nature, more than by my parents, okay, because I was in the farm all the time. And until, I turned something like 22 years old, so we were there. And then, we didn't know it was paradise, but it was paradise. And then what happens is my father made a mistake. Not a bad mistake, but he made a mistake by endorsing somebody who was not doing well and so on. So he had to sell the whole thing. So from overnight, we were broke, was nothing. I had to pay for my own studies. I was in Paris at that time in my MBA. So everything changed. That was the best thing that happened in my life. For me, for my parents, of course, was difficult. But for me, because then it gives you a kick in your ass.
Indeed, yeah.
And then you wake up and you say, okay, now I have to do something. Before that, it was easy, easy going and so on. So this is how my life rebirthed, and it was wonderful. And I used all this good common sense that I learned, on the farm, to go and by the way, to grab opportunities. This is because you have no chance. You have no choice. I mean, you have to grab opportunities. Even if there's some risk, you don't look at the risk first. You look at the opportunities first. And then you look at by the way, be careful about this, about that. But not what most of the people think. They always think about the risk first, and then they let the opportunities go. So that's what I've been grabbing opportunities of my life.
Indeed.
La Madeleine was one of them.
And you had a professor back still at school who kind of helped you get a job in a time of need, but it wound up also giving you a great skill. You learned to speak English as a result, really.
Yes, because in fact it helped Patrick. You need to work, to pay for your studies. So then he came and he said, Patrick, I got a job for you, which is a great job. I enjoyed it very well. It was to be a tour leader for American tourists. So imagine a guy who didn't speak English, basically not, okay, taking possession of 50 teachers from Rhode Island, okay, mostly women, from 18 years old to 80 years old. So here I am in London, and with these guys, my driver was his first trip too, okay. He was from Flemish. He was Flemish. The only way we could communicate was in German. Okay, it was not easy. Okay. And then we are there with these 50 teachers. And then I'm the guide in London, to show them London. Okay, with the book on my laps and so on. And by the way, this is Westminster. I say, no, Patrick, this is St. Paul. Okay, vice versa. It was absolutely incredible. And then, of course, at the end of the day, it was a disaster. So they came to me and said, Patrick, we cannot continue like that. So I said, okay, let's make a deal. I'm going to tell you one thing. I need to pay for my studies, all right? And I told them the story. I'd do anything to make you happy during these trips, okay? So then they start to have a little power to talk about, what to do and all this. And they came back to me and said, all right, Patrick, we keep you at one condition. Every day in the bus, it was a 50 days tour, okay? 25 borders that we're crossing and so on. So every day in the bus, we want to teach you for 3 hours English for 3 hours. Okay, so do you agree on this? If you don't agree, so you're gone. If you agree, it's okay. We keep you. This is how I learn English. It was wonderful. Then I did everything I could for these people. They loved me when at the end of the trip because I did things like nobody else would have done for them.
That's amazing.
And
And
that's a good lesson in life. In life, anything is possible. Anything is possible if you listen, adapt, and surprise. Okay? And you are not coming with your preconceived ideas. You are just in what I call in short pants. You don't know anything about anything, even if you know, because you learn so much, from other people, from other situations, for whatever, and then you adapt, and then you surprise, and it comes very easy. But you have to have this little guy, what I call my heart, to be willing to do this, because it's going to order to the mind, is going to order to my hand and to my foot or whatever what to do, and this is going to work so well.
Listen, Adapt, and Surprise is the premise of Patrick Esquerre's book on the anniversary, the 35th anniversary of La Madeleine, and it's just full of wonderful stories. Can people get the book online at La Madeleine? Where is it available?
No, it's mostly they go to the bakeries, and the bakery should have them, I hope. By the way, my car is full of books.
Just follow Patrick down the street. He'll autograph one for you.
plenty of books in my car.
That's great. Well, good. And how many La Madeleines are there now?
So there are something like, I think, 90. One of the last one, which is open, or maybe going to open soon, is going to be in Waco. But we have something like 90 of them. Okay.
Bringing an authentic French country bakery to places that need them very much. I know you mentioned your wonderful mother. I never had the privilege, the honor of meeting her, but I heard so many stories about her, and our deepest sympathies. I know she recently passed away. Can you talk just a little bit about some of the major lessons that she imparted to you? Some of the real wonderful.
Oh, it's very simple.
Yeah.
She was a very strong woman, very strong, loving woman.
Mm-hmm.
And she was, by the way, always right. First name always, last name right. She was absolutely incredible. I mean, and by the way, she was right, at least for what she likes and doesn't like. Okay, she was very, very good at that. And her motto was le bon, le beau, et le vrai, which is the good, the beautiful, and the truth. Okay, so everything has to go by these three words. And I tell you, I think my father would be a saint, okay, because he was just wonderful. He loved her very much, and so on. And I think, just doing this, she was a real leader. When I mean the word leader, it's somebody what you follow her, because she was so strong on all of these principles or whatever it is, and love was just everywhere, okay, in her life.
She instilled a wonderful love and respect for women in you, because I've heard you refer to how to handle a woman, to quote from Lerner and Lowe, Camelot, well, you simply love them. But Patrick's idea, as inspired by his mother, is that her name is always right. First name always, last name right.
But all the women are always right, okay? This is what is in the book. And by the way, I have a long chapter about what I call the Baker dozens of the women, okay? Which is, I just describe what I think about women. All positive. There's nothing negative in there, okay? Because we learn so much from women. And women are, they are very complementary to men, because they have a sensitivity, they have a way of looking at things which are absolutely incredible. I love it, okay? It's wonderful.
Patrick, before we run out of time, you're involved in a very important mission that we've had the honor of being associated with peripherally. It's a program called Kids Vision for Life, and you've worked very closely with the Esquerre Foundation on developing this.
So
tell us about that.
I created, with Esquerre, which is the number one. It's a French company, which is based here in Dallas, which is the number one in the world, making the glasses. Wonderful company. So they asked me to create a foundation, what I did, 10 years ago, called Esquerre Vision Foundation, with a program called Kid Vision for Life. And we take care of the children who have vision problems. Okay, so this is huge, because you have 4 kids in a class of 20 have vision problems. If they don't see well, they're going to be frustrated. They cannot play with the other kids. They cannot read. They cannot learn or whatever. And then they are going to turn to try to do things that are not the right thing to do. They are going to be, by the way, behind. So that's a very huge problem that affects our society and affects our economy. So this is what we do. And I'm just creating now to help, the first foundation, which is Esquerre Vision Foundation. Another one, which is more specific for North Texas, to take care of all the children of North Texas. Okay, and Mayor Rowling is supporting it. Mayor Price also. A bunch of people are supporting us, the different hospitals, the schools, of course, and a bunch of organizations. And we are very, very excited about this new one.
It's an important project. You have given me some astounding statistics about the impact that poor vision has in terms of children kind of giving up and then basically falling out of society, having behavioral problems, getting in trouble with the law, being incarcerated and so forth. And the simple fact that if we could put glasses on kids who can't see, that it might help that makes this so worthwhile.
Yes, it's very important because this is facts. We went to the Juvenile Detention Center here in Dallas, where there is something like maybe 5,000 or 6,000 children behind the bars at the same time. And then we took care of them. And we discovered that if in schools you have 20% of the children who really need some attention for their eyes, of their vision, this goes to something like 60, 70%, in the Juvenile Detention Center, And then if you go to the two adults prison, in Fort Worth and in Segoville, you discover that it's 91%, which is huge. So a children that cannot do what the other kid is doing is going to be frustrated, is going to try to do things, on the side, is going to try to compensate that. And that is a real concern, for everybody else, because they are in our backyard, so we need to take care of the children. And the good news is when we take care of children, you see that, for example, in a class of 20, if you put glasses on the nose of 4 kids, you know what happened? The whole class goes from 85 to 96 in math and in reading. It's overnight. This is absolutely amazing, okay? Because they don't disturb the other kids, because they don't disturb the teacher, because everybody is on the same page and everybody wants to succeed.
So we seem to have a system now in schools that's based on testing and making those grades go up. So that seems like almost a no-brainer, a simple way of doing that. Patrick, can people get more information about how they can participate or help?
Yes, they can go on the website, Kid Vision Coalition. .org. By the way, it's kidvisionco.org. kidvisionco.org. Okay. If you do this, and then they can either volunteer, be partners, or if you want to donate some money. By the way, yesterday I had some people who said, I want to take care of 100 children, which is wonderful. They're going to receive vision care, which is something like $90 per kid, because we need to pay for a bunch of service and so on. The good news is Esquerre and Esquerre Vision Foundation are supplying the glasses, the prescription glasses for free in kind, which is great. So that helps, to take care of more children.
Well, I think it's probably the best investment you could ever make in the future of not only a child, but in our culture. And I salute you, Patrick. Kids Vision for Life. And
Vision Coalition.
Okay. Well, Kids Vision Coalition. Yeah.
Okay.
That's what it's called now. Okay. I guess I've missed a couple of meetings along the way. I need to get back into that.
Thank you for being part of that.
And please stop by La Madeleine and get a copy of Patrick's wonderful book. And if we could just show it to guys, Jimmy, Jay, once again, thank you. La Madeleine Love Story, Recipe for Happiness, Listen, Adapt, and Surprise. Monsieur Patrick Esquerre. Patrick, you're a wonderful man and a great friend. Thank you so much for joining.
It's easy I love Dallas. I love the population of Dallas and Fort Worth. I'm happy here. It is wonderful because this little guy, what we call the heart, is working very well here.
Yeah. And we're happy that you're here too.
Thank you so much.
Our guest gourmet and founder of La Madeleine, Patrick Esquerre, on Wining and Dining with Jim White. Now remember, if anybody asks you what you're making for dinner, tell them reservations. But if that hoity-toity restaurant you want to visit is full, stop by La Madeleine anytime for breakfast, lunch, or dinner. They'll let you in and welcome you.
We will.
Thank you.
We will.